Welcome back to Scores and More, some more Division II action, this time from Willard High School and Bob Haas Gymnasium, one of my personal favorite gyms. I love that gym. So many great players and teams have played in that gym in tournament play and regular season action. So much history. I'm a history buff, so I love it anytime I step into Bob Haas Gymnasium, as this time number 1 seed in the Division II Ashland District, Huron Tigers, took on the 7th seed Ontario Warriors. Court Zepernick was on the call of that one, and the Huron Tigers kind of showed why they're the number 1 team in that district.
Yeah, I had the singular play-by-play call on that one, and it was an exciting one to watch, especially in the first half. You wouldn't be able to tell that it lived up to the advertisement, lived up to the billing in that third and fourth quarter, because mainly of contributions like guys from Dylan Holder, who scored the first 8 points of the entire contest. He accounted for 50% of the first 16 points that Huron was able to score. So it was definitely an offensive display for the ages for Huron. They flexed their muscle in all different categories, and they are a force to be reckoned with going forward.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the highlights how Huron ended Ontario's season. The Ontario Warriors hope to play spoiler against the number 1 seed in Division II, the Huron Tigers, at Willard High School. Who will cut down the nets and advance to the district semifinals? Let's find out. In the early going, it'll be back and forth affair, with Ontario's Carter Weaver and Brady Zehe connecting on 3-pointers. But Dylan Holler would match the Warriors from distance, and a high-paced, back-and-forth first quarter. But the Tigers led after 1 quarter play, 16-12. More of the same in the second quarter, but Holler, who had a game-high 22 points, helped keep the lead for the Tigers. Ontario's Grayson Purvis would have himself a second quarter to keep the Warriors in the game, but the Tigers held a 31-25 lead at halftime. In the third quarter, the Warriors would go cold from the field, and Huron would take full advantage and increase their lead to over 18 points at one point. But Ontario would claw back still and trail 45-34 going into the final quarter. Huron would still control most of the quarter and match Ontario, as Ontario would try to claw back in it, but every time they made a little bit of a run, the Tigers had the answers, as they would make some timely buckets and free throws to go on to win this one, 65-54, and advance to next week's district semifinals at Ashland High School, and Ontario will bow out of the tournament sectional runner-ups. What a win it was for the Huron Tigers, and for a disappointing end to a rough and tumble kind of season for the Ontario Warriors as they fall to 8-15. And then Huron, I believe, improved to 20-2. So impressive year for Huron and for Ontario. Kind of want to rebound because it was kind of that cold shooting third quarter stretch that kind of changed things, right, Court?
Well, the good thing is they made it to that point in the season. You don't just get to the late stages of February and early March in general without having a lot of talent. You mentioned this is the 7th ranked team, and they have a young nucleus of talent that is coming back. But really, yeah, the difference in the game, just based on any observation anyone could have guessed, is the fact that they were ice cold from beyond the arc. No ability to create any 3-point opportunities. When they did get some open looks, they weren't able to convert. They only had 1 3-pointer in the second half, and then and that came in the entire game, actually, late in the fourth quarter. So something that's going to haunt them, but will motivate them going into next year.
And for Huron, what makes them such a tough team to beat?
Well, mainly the fact that every single player on the court can shoot from field goal range and from beyond the arc. We see guys, centers, forwards. I mean, they can step back and do it. They're a dynamic team. They're number 1 ranked for a reason, but every single player can drop at least 20 on you, and there's really no unpredictable way to describe it because every single player is that good and can beat you in so many different ways.
Yeah, the winners of the SBC conference, I believe Bay Division, if I'm not wrong, but the SBC is always a very tough competition. You always play some inter-league division games, and it's always a very brutal schedule for those teams, and that's why they usually do well come tournament time. But how do you feel about Huron moving forward in the district tournament now?
Well, we saw that they'll be the winner of the game 2 of that doubleheader, and of course it depends. It's going to be at a neutral site, so they just have to get acclimated going forward. But one thing we know they're going to be able to do, even though they're not the biggest, fastest, strongest team that you would see, or maybe around the state, they still are where they're at for a reason. And going forward, they're going to need to continue to score at least above 50 points, probably in the 60s like they did going forward in the past games and tonight, and they're going to need double digits in the 20s, probably at least, from guys such as Holder and the supporting cast. So they're definitely a team to be dangerous, worthy of, and you got to take them with the utmost degree of seriousness.
Well, thank you so much, Court, and we're going to have some more scores and more when we come back, so don't go away.